developed new skills, and I'd used some of the skills I had in the past. I studied psychology, NLP, CBT, and I thought I'm going to put this to good use. So it was a massive turning point, and as you said, I was quite fortunate enough to win some coaching awards. I won the highly commended award for coaching in 2006. I worked at an international level, and yeah, it was really, really good times. And I think that whilst a day didn't go by where I thought what could have been, the one thing that was happening, I felt that the contribution I was making as a coach helped me to put all that past behind me. And now, really, when I look back, I think, well, everything happens for a reason. And if it didn't happen that time, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I really enjoy working with people on a diverse basis. So outside sport, I also work with businesses, and I also work with offenders as well to help them turn their life around as well. So I've got a keen interest in helping people who are in a situation where they need someone as a sounding board who's shared a similar experiences to help them move forward and move on.
I'm talking to Jim Petruzzi. As you know, our feature is called My Story. An interesting story Jim has got, without any shadow of a doubt. What is good and what is coming over loud and clear for all of you out there that are at a desperate stage in your life, Jim has turned it around, so it can be turned around. It was interesting you mentioned that you talked to offenders. How did you get into that?
Yeah, it was a friend of mine who was also involved in sport mentioned that there were different programs and initiatives out there that you can get involved in. I thought, well, initially, I guess I was a little bit hesitant because I didn't know if the skills I had at the time would benefit people in that situation, albeit I felt that it was worth a go, and it was just through word of mouth and through different contacts I got involved with working with groups and individuals, and it was fantastic. And I think the thing is, there's a stigma attached to people in certain situations, particularly some of the offenders. And I think sometimes some people that haven't had the best starts in life, they've had things that have been very difficult for them, and they turn to different ways and means. And I think that if sometimes we've got programs and people who are willing to give people a chance, then it is possible for anybody to turn their life around in a short space of time. If the desire is there and a little bit of help there as well. So yeah, the work's been fantastic, and I carry on doing that work, and it's great to see people achieve even GCSE, A-levels, or go to college or get a job for the first time and put the past behind them and move forward and onwards and upwards. So it's a fantastic opportunity to work with people who I think that probably haven't had the best starts in life, and with a little bit of help, then they can achieve all sorts of things.
Jim, as a coach, do you get angry when you see Sunday football, for instance, with the behaviour on I was going to say off the field? They're on the field most of the times, the parents, and the way refs are being treated on Sunday football. Do you think there is an actual major problem right now?
I think so. I think it is a shame sometimes when referees who get paid little or nothing on a Sunday morning get up, and I can understand that people are passionate about the game and it can work us all up. But we've got to put a sense of perspective in it as well. At that level, it should be pure enjoyment. So it should be pure enjoyment at all levels, really. I think it is frustrating. I think what's also frustrating as well when you see parents on the touchline screaming at kids and urging them on. And I think sometimes what does happen is some of the parents are looking to live their dreams through their kids as well. And I find that working at youth level, it happens very far and few in between, thankfully, but some of the kids are pushed very, very hard. And really, I think that they've got to enjoy the game. They've got to be allowed to develop and flourish in that environment, really. And I think it is. I do agree, it is frustrating. Particularly frustrating when you see Sunday League and some of the things that go on. And sometimes football can be used. I think that people who do that aren't really genuine football fans or passionate about the game. I think sometimes people can use football as an excuse to vent their frustration and anger, really. It's about enjoying the game, and I think that any referee that has to be subjected to any level of abuse, that shouldn't happen, really.
Interesting you say that. I think you're right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think there's an awful lot of parents there, nothing to do with football. They just want to vent their anger.
Oh, very much so, and definitely, I mean, there's some parents who may be disappointed that they didn't achieve what they wanted as footballers. Maybe they see football as a lucrative outcome for their children, for their son. so to speak, or maybe they're just passionate or overly passionate. I think that you've got to draw that line somewhere, and I think for a player to develop, particularly a young person, they need encouragement and they need praise, and really the parents should lead by example. And I think that the one thing that we have in football culture at the moment, even at the highest level, some of the best players we see speaking to the referees and ranting and raving, and I think that it doesn't set the best example at top as well. But there are some fantastic examples, a lot of good people in the game as well who do play the game fair and do play the game with passion and do play the game with a sense of purpose as well. And I think sometimes some of the people who go out there and do a lot of good things can be forgotten as well too. So there are a lot of people who do the right things and do give it a good go as well.
Jim, do you think America's going from strength to strength as a football country?
I think they are. I think it's taking time, and I think they've had a couple of false dawns. In the 70s, they put a lot of money into the league there, and it never quite materialised. They tried to buy some of the best players, the likes of Pelé, Best went out there. I think this time they've got it right. They've had a plan. They've brought some good players over there who are at a decent stage of their career, like Jan Rees and Beckham as well. He's contributed as well on and off the field over there too. His stature in the game. So I think this time around they've done things in a better way. The rankings suggest that they are well on the way, and we saw at the World Cup just how difficult they are to beat. I think when you consider the population of America, you've got 300 million people or thereabouts, and they're very, very strong sporting nation. Only a very small percentage of that has to develop in football, and they're going to be very hard to beat. But they are developing, and I think that within the next 20 years, they're probably going to at least get into a World Cup final, if not win one, because they've got a lot of athletes over there as well. And you've got to look at the athletes they have in the Olympics and in other sports, and if more and more of these players get involved in football, they're going to become more and more difficult to beat.
I'm talking to Jim Petruzzi. Jim, tell us about the two books, It's Going for Gold and Football Fitness.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've co-written and contributed to books over time, over the last few years. I had Going for Gold was released early this year, and I have Winning at Sport that's going to be released later this year, and a couple of other fitness books released early next year as well. So I keep myself busy writing. But Going for Gold, which is out at the moment, is a collection of techniques and strategies that are based on NLP and sporting principles that can be transferred to people's personal lives to get the best out of themselves. And in sport, the analogy is the difference between the best in the world and the 50th best could be as little as 1%. If you look at the 100-metre sprint in the Olympic Games, if you're running at 9.9, you're near enough on course for a medal. If you take 1% under that, you're sitting at home watching on TV, you don't even qualify. So by using some of these principles, people in everyday life can race their game and get the best out of themselves, whatever they decide.